Absurd negotiations. If you're going to unilaterally cut tariffs by 115%, why even bother negotiating with China? Trump's so-called tariff negotiations with China concluded last night. It only took 2 days to resolve what was described as a century-long conflict, an irreconcilable contradiction, a potentially earth-shattering showdown. In fact, it was reportedly resolved within the first hour of the meeting. Some sources say even within 5 minutes. Why? Because Trump's negotiation team immediately proposed, we're willing to reduce China's tariffs from 145% to just 10%. The Chinese delegation was stunned, completely caught off guard. They never expected such a massive reversal from Trump, slashing tariffs from 145% all the way down to 10%. That's effectively like there were no additional tariffs at all. Not only were new tariffs not added, but previous ones were canceled too. Originally, tariffs were at 25%. After the negotiation, they were brought down to 10%, meaning a direct 15% reduction. So after all the trade war hype, it's as if it never happened. The absurdity left the Chinese delegation dumbfounded. They couldn't believe such nonsensical behavior from Trump. I said from the beginning that this was ridiculous to the extreme. Normally, if you want to impose tariffs, they shouldn't exceed 10%. That applies to any country in the world. Tariffs above 10% mean economic decoupling, severing trade ties. So the only reasonable tariff level is 10%. You just issue an executive order from the White House and be done with it. No negotiation needed, because a 10% tariff is easily acceptable, even welcomed. For example, China was already dealing with 25%. If you say it's now 10%, of course they'll accept. Sure enough, it turned out exactly as I predicted, a 10% tariff. This so-called tariff war ended up being a farce, a bunch of nonsensical rhetoric and empty threats. Trump's tariff war with China was like a lunatic showing up at your front door, yelling, hitting, smashing, looting, and stealing all sorts of things from your home. Then he demands you call him so you can talk over drinks. At first you ignore him, thinking maybe he'll calm down. But when he keeps making a scene and insists on that phone call, you finally give in. And as soon as the two of you sit down, he can't wait to dump everything he stole, coffee machine, cups, microwave, rice cooker, everything, back into your lap. He even throws in a free flower pot. That's how it went. This kind of nonsensical behavior isn't random when it comes to Trump. It's expected. Look at the way he talks and acts. He always wants to be the boss, bully you, say whatever he wants, and as long as you back down and give him a call, everything is forgiven. Even if he ends up paying you, covering your medical bills, compensating for defamation, none of it matters. As long as you call first, that's enough. So here's the absurd part. Trump imposed a 25% tariff on all his allies, especially Canada. But for China, he dropped it to 10%, from 25% down to 10%, a 15% decrease. Absurd, isn't it? It's like he's punishing friends and rewarding adversaries. Truly chilling. This whole negotiation was completely unnecessary. You're voluntarily lowering tariffs. What are you still yelling and throwing things for? You've offended everyone, only to end up apologizing to all. And with China, you've turned the highest tariffs into the lowest. Why even have talks? Just send a telegram, a fax, or even a WeChat message. I'm reducing your tariffs to 10%. Happy now? That would have done it. Instead, there were planes, delegations, food, drinks, and all this pomp. What a joke. I heard from the media 2 days ago that the Chinese delegation walked out of the room after just 15 minutes. People thought talks had collapsed. But I suspect what really happened was this. Trump's envoy told them, the president said we can lower your tariffs from 145% to 10%. The Chinese delegation was so shocked and thrilled, they ran out to make an urgent call to Xi Jinping. Xi reportedly said, seize this opportunity immediately, sign the deal before they come to their senses. And that's how this so-called historic agreement was made. Trump's earth-shaking great news was this. America took a massive loss, dropping tariffs from 145% to 10%. Trump's weakness, or rather his defining trait, is now clear. He starts by cursing you out, tearing you and your ancestors apart. But as long as you give him a call, say hello, he instantly changes his tone and forgives everything. If that's the case, then being friends with him is extremely risky. For example, Venezuela's opposition. If Maduro just picks up the phone and says sorry to Trump, the opposition could be crushed. Or take Taiwan. If China called Trump and said something nice, would Trump help the PLA cross the strait? Just look at Canada. Canada has never offended him, always obediently doing business with the U.S. at cost. But on Trump's first day in office, he lashed out at Canada, slapped huge tariffs on them. Now, if the Canadian Prime Minister humbles himself, says a few nice words, maybe gives Trump a gift, will Trump cancel all tariffs and even give Canada a piece of U.S. land as its 12th province? This is pure nonsense. All that matters is whether you make that phone call. To Trump, if you call him, you're a friend. If you don't, you're the enemy, possibly a mortal one. Solving global issues or trade problems with this mindset is like a child playing in the mud. Trump launched his tariff war on day one of his presidency, fought for 100 days, and in the end, people realized, if you just make a call, the tariffs are gone. If not, he arbitrarily slaps them on. He's offended nearly everyone: Congress, Democrats, blue-collar workers, China, Europe, Canada, Latin America, and now he wants it all to just go away. What kind of negotiation is this? Raising tariffs on your own is negotiation, but lowering them unilaterally is also negotiation. It's like you go into a salary negotiation with your boss, and instead of asking for a raise, you say, "Boss, I want a 50% pay cut," or even 115%. The boss would be overjoyed, hugging you on the spot, thinking, "What a fool. What's there left to negotiate?"